Hello, brothers and sisters. The title of the message today is Being Led by the Hand of the Lord. Number 7, some people accuse obedience. When we started our fellowship, most of our church members were students, college sophomore, junior, senior students. Students were very poor but simple, pure-hearted, and cute. They did not give me any burden to me. As time went by, brothers and sisters graduated from college. They got a job. Sisters were attending nursing college, got a job first. But brothers had to go to the army. They couldn't get a job yet. The brothers and sisters were old enough to get married, but as their life was not so stable yet, it was a little bit too early for them. But as there were many young people, there seemed to be a competition. Some people wanted to hurry up and get married. The church life became confused. In the world, it is natural, but we live as one community life. It was not that simple. I was agonized at first, and I told brothers and demonstrated the spirit of concession. Let's discuss when everything is ready for wedding. If you hurry up, many brothers and sisters will collide with each other. Let's be careful because we have to spend the rest of our life together in one community. This statement went aside. Those people who don't know our situation spoke ill of us. It became a stumbling block for our ministry. In Taegu Church, marriage is not free. Everybody must obey to the pastor. The pastor is somewhat strange. Maybe they must be just like Moonies of a Unification Church. They began to murmur. Rumors spread all over. Some people went out of church. Other brothers secretly quit church. And some people hesitated to come to church. If we attend the church, we cannot get married freely. Church will mess up our life. Maybe they saw the sword of flame and maybe they saw the cherubim. Other people thought that's no problem. I'll do whatever I like. Who can block me? Some were brave. Still, other people just obeyed and just waited. As for me, I was afraid something disgraceful thing would take place in our church. If I don't impose restriction, I could not stop thinking. I also thought if they cannot commit their marriage to church and they get married according to their own free will, how can they obey to God's order? Can those people follow God's will? The brothers had more problems than sisters. They confessed, I want to risk my life following the Lord, but because of their marriage problem, they can betray the Lord. Suppose they just lead a religious life and go to heaven after die. For those people, obedience is not so important. But those people who confess, I will follow the Lord with single mind, risking my life, if they cannot overcome here, their future is more negative. That's what I thought. I looked at brothers very seriously. I could not afford to have another thought, even a little bit. Brothers' thoughts were shaky. Other people gossip about our church. I knew, but I didn't care. I felt it was crisis because brothers declared, we'll follow the Lord, forsaking everything. When a man is young and single, the most important issue is the marriage issue. There are so many important things in our life. If he cannot be obedient with this issue, whenever they face problems, they will try to solve those problems with their own thoughts. Then they cannot overcome that problem. I'm not the type of person who will force brothers to marry a certain appointed spouse, but their wild imagination made them afraid. It was a question for me. In reality, those brothers who carried the burden were quiet, but other brothers had more troubles in their hearts. Well, if they think it is the burden, it's inevitable. Turning thanks and subjective, and agonizing is also subjective. Before the cup arrives, looking up the mountain, Mount Gethsemane far in the distance, I'm dying as my mind is filled with agony. Lord, let that cup pass by. Some brothers prayed in such a way. In fact, I have a weak mind. I don't want to let other people carry the burden. I'd rather carry the burden myself and fall down on the ground. It makes my heart more comfortable. I did not give any burden to them, but I could not understand those brothers who imagined the burden in advance and become agonized. Brothers were naive, just like children. Even they felt difficulty, but they could not run away. They just stayed as they are and just became agonized. About these kind of people, people of the world cannot understand them. They left their hometown, they had difficulty getting a job, but after they quit their job, went down to Daegu, where they have no acquaintances at all, their family members could not understand them. Family members, relatives, and acquaintances, they might have thought that very person is walking entirely the wrong way. There were parents who thought church took my child from my hands. Friends thought church took my friend from our hands. Their environment was not easy. Life grew up stronger and deeper even in adversity. Receiving the challenge of crabgrass and thistles, they try to cover up the tree. Those who disobeyed, they made excuses, receiving the accusation of Satan. But the life grew up and enforced. Satan is a deceiving one. Even there is no tribulation and adversity, can he get the kingdom of heaven? Can he express the Lord's glory without accusation? Just with the applause of Satan? After all, the world must become fertilizer for the eternal life. If you love the world, life will die. And if you consider that the world is a dead being and use it as fertilizer, we can get the victory. Subtitle number 8, Community Life. In order to travel, we need money. In my 20s, I had no money. I couldn't go any place as I received the hospital treatment for several years because of my tuberculosis. I used up all my money. It was okay. I was still living. I ran a small mini mall. I had no money. I had nothing to do. I could not go forward or backward. Even these days, if my house become poor, I dream about that dark and dismal experiences in the past. I wanted to borrow some money from my brother, but I could not get any money. I could not plunk down on the street. My mom was waiting for money. I could not commit suicide secretly. I could not do anything. I was really wandering around that time. That experience became a shadow in my life and following me all the way. But after I received Lord's calling, I did not need to worry about money. It was really mysterious for me. When I was driven out of my denomination and when I was driven out Campus Crusade, it was the same. Just with about 20 students, we were driven out of the isolated island, but we did not worry about anything. Just had fellowship and fellowship every day. We were traveling with any money, but some reality was hidden. After we came out of Campus Crusade, Brother Jason Lee, who easily catch cold, went out to the Langdon Institute, scarf around his neck early in the morning, and made money and supported brothers. And his wife, Sister Kyung Sun Nyum, provided food to brothers and sisters at any time. Until the time when parents moved from Suncheon City to Daegu City and moved to Taemyeong 5-dong, I don't know how many years, but she always provided food to all the brothers and sisters from the very beginning. Even parents came, she continued to do that. After Brother Jason Lee moved out, Sister Hyun Bae-seo, Sister Soo Hee Jung, Brother Chang Yong Lee, Brother Huang Su-che cooked for themselves. Brother Jason Lee and I lived together over 5 years, but as we were separated because of parents, I joined in Penthouse Self-Cooking Brothers. As my family moved from Chechen City to Daegu City, life became more complicated. My wife opened up a ladies' dressmakers, and our family members lived in a room right next to the dressmakers. In one room, 5 people were living, and in a small room, my mother and my niece Kyung-suk were living together. Besides our family members, 2 other sisters were always staying together, and during the weekend, even more sisters stayed at our house. As the house was so small, my house was always crowded. Around that time, Chuncheon brothers and Chungju brothers, they got a job in Seoul. They lived together as they led a community life in Seokwan-dong and Yeongdeungpo, and during the weekend, they visited Daegu. As my wife made money at the dressmakers and supported my family, but one day my wife had a terrible backache. We closed up the dressmakers. We moved to a new house. At that house, there was a magnolia tree. When we moved into that house, that magnolia flowers were in full bloom. As we closed the Moknyeon dressmakers and moved, the magnolia flowers welcomed us in full bloom. One day, Chuncheon brothers who were living in Seoul, the community living, they quit their job and came down to Daegu. They literally left their country, left people and their father's household, and moreover, they quit their job and moved down to Daegu without any preparation. They were a little different from the people of Israel who left Egypt. They were similar with Abraham, who had led his family members and arrived at the land of Canaan, I can say. Our life became more and more complicated. We had more than 20 people already, but now we had more than 40 people as brothers moved from Seoul. Sisters were living at our house. Brothers got a rent room and stayed there. They had food at our house. We did not have any solution for our problem, but Brother Wang Gyu Park one day told us there is a test for assistant teachers. So brothers studied for that exam, and later they all passed the exam, and they all got teaching jobs. As the people of Israel entered into the land of Canaan, they were able to feed themselves. The assistant teacher exam were continued on for 2 years, and it was abolished later. It was so mysterious. Maybe God wanted to give food to us so brothers could take that exam, and then it was abolished after brothers all got a job. Brother Kyung Yong Pyun was an elementary school teacher. Later he quit it and moved down to Daegu and passed the exam of assistant teacher and got a job. Brother Han Sung Jung and Won Sun Hong got a job in Pohang and moved to Daegu. The brother Sung Gyu Lee and Hyo Young Lee got a job at the Yeongdong and moved down to Daegu. Brother Min Jae Lee got a job in Masan and moved to Daegu later on. Around this time, our life in one community was started in a serious way. Nobody set up any plan. Number of people were increased continually. Some brothers got a job and brought money to the church. Most of the brothers did not have any job, so we had to feed many people. We had to prepare winter kimchi, 400 cabbages, and we had to make bean paste with 2 bushel of yellow beans. We had to pay so much money for food, and the amount of work of household chores were beyond our imagination. We lived at a house where magnolia was blooming for quite a long time. At first, Sister Won Ja Kim and Brother Hyun Young Shin got married and took care of all the household chores. Next, Sister Soon Hee Lee took care of kitchen work. Later, she got married with Brother Soon Taek Woo, and they are still living with us until today. My family, 7 members, 3 children, mom, niece, my wife, 1 brother, and I, Brother Suntek and Sister Suni, 5 to 4 brothers in the basement room. Next door, over 10 brothers. How complicated it was. I had to leave my family and traveled all over Korea. Brother Sunguk took care of my old mother. She could not move well because she was too old. My wife could not take care of my mom alone, so he helped my wife so much. My mom even could not go to the bathroom alone. He had to help her. Brother Sungu Kim helped her for 2 to 3 years. My mom passed away when I was in Daegu. I was able to be right next to her when she breathed her last breath. Thank you. Hallelujah. May God bless every one of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you.